Assalamu alaikum everyone. So welcome to the second session of this week. So far we have discussed the introduction of essay. What are the tasks or what are the components of essay writing? And we began from discussing the generation of ideas and being able to express your ideas with clarity and grammatical grammatical accuracy. And then we discussed the parts of essay. We talked about introduction, body paragraphs, and conclusion. We discussed how you brainstorm ideas and then create an outline, and then how you formulate your ideas and present it in a form of an essay, how you develop or present ideas in the introductory paragraph, how you write body paragraphs, and what are the things to be included in your conclusion. Besides that, very important thing that we have discussed with specific reference to essay writing is thesis statement. So we have discussed that thesis statement is presents your entire stance or your point of view. It's the entire gist of your essay. So though we have discussed thesis statement, it's very important for you to be able to identify well-written thesis statement and to be able to compose well-written thesis statement, because thesis statement kind of sums up your entire writing, and it sort of gives a direction to the reader, that what your viewpoint is, or what is the stance that you're going to take in your writing, and what are the things that you'll be focusing upon. So writing effective thesis statement is crucial to writing, a well-written essay. So this is the activity that we are going to do together. And I might give the same sort of activity for your midterm as well, in which you'll be either required to identify appropriate or well-written thesis statement, or I might give you a topic and ask you to write a thesis statement, and will assess you on the basis of your ability to write a thesis statement. So I can give this in your midterm, since this is the topic that I'm covering this week. So do practice, and we are going to do this entire task together. So as I believe it will be easier for you to identify well-developed thesis statement and more relevant or specific thesis statement. So what is the task? That for each pair of sentences below, select the one that you think would make the more effective thesis in the introductory paragraph of a short essay of about 400 to 600 words. So essay is not there, but just imagine that these are the thesis statement for a short essay of about 400 to 600 words. And what you have to keep in mind while selecting the more accurate thesis statement is that the thesis statement should be sharply focused. It should be focused, and it must be specific. It shouldn't be a general statement of fact that, okay, this is bad or this is good. This is not how thesis statements are written, right? So let's begin the activity. I am sorry for the smaller font size, but there were quite a few sentences, that's why. So first we look at the sentence number 1. The Hunger Games is a science fiction adventure film based on the novel of the same name by Suzanne Collins. This is one thesis statement on the similar topic, and by reading the sentence, you must be able to decipher the topic. This essay is about the Hunger Games, right? And the writer in the first A thesis statement is saying that it's a science fiction adventure film. It's telling the genre of the film, and it tells that it is based on the novel of the same name. So there are two information that is given in this thesis statement, and that is that it's a science fiction adventure, and it has the novel. It's based on a novel on the same name, and it's written by the writer's name. The writer names has been given. So this is the first thesis statement, A, and now I'm going to read the second one. So your job is to identify the well-written thesis statement. The second one is, The Hunger Game is a morality tale about the dangers of a political system that is dominated by the wealthy. So what do you think? Which one is a better thesis statement? Ask yourself, choose one. Stop and choose one. Okay, so now that you have chosen, Obviously, the first A thesis statement is not correct. It does not tell about the stance that the writer is going to take in his or her writing. It does not tell anything about the aspect or that the writer is going to focus on. It just gives a background of the novel. So in case you're writing a summary of a book, when you will be writing of a summary, you will be telling about the book, that it's a horror, or it's a fiction, or it's a thriller, and and it's written by this. But that is not the thesis statement. That is just a background information. It can be considered as a background information, but it cannot be considered as a thesis statement. On the other hand, now read the second one again, the Hunger Game. Now, when we read the B thesis statement of the first topic, we know more about the movie. What is it about? What is the writer thinks about the movie? He or she believes that it's a morality tale about the dangers of a political system that is dominated by the wealthy. So this is the writer's stance. Are you getting my point? So this is how the thesis statement has to be focused and specific. Now, any other writer could have a very different, not completely different, but could have a different, belief or different analysis of this movie. But by reading this thesis statement, we get to know this writer's an idea of this movie. And according to this writer, it's a morality tale about the dangers of a political system. Obviously, it's not only about the writer. The movie does revolve around this theme, but the thesis statement tells the stance that writer is going to take. For the writer, this aspect holds more value, and this is something that the writer is going to talk about. So this thesis statement is more specific and it's more focused, while the first thesis statement is only giving you the background information, and it in no way tells the writer's opinion, what the writer is going to focus upon. By reading the second thesis statement, I have an idea that throughout the essay, the writer will tell me about the dangers of a political system. What happens, how dangerous or how rotten a political system can get if it's solely dominated by wealthy. तो इसमें मुझे ये पता लगेगा, राइटर आगे डिस्कस करेगा या करेंगी कि कैसे जब एक पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम को सिर्फ वेल्दी, एक स्पेसिफिक पावरफुल एलीट गवर्न करती है, तो वो कितना नुकसानदेह साबित होता है ऐसा पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम. तो इसमें थीसिस स्टेटमेंट पढ़ते ही आई हैव एन एक्सपेक्टेशन फ्रॉम द राइटर. आई नो द राइटर स्टैंड्स, आई नो व्हाट इज द एसे गोइंग टू बी अबाउट. तो इसी तरीके से आपको अपनी थीसिस स्टेटमेंट को फॉर्मुलेट करना है, इतना ही फोकस रखना है और इतनी ही स्पेसिफिक होनी चाहिए. ठीक है. नाउ सेंटेंस नंबर 2, व्हिच इज द थीसिस स्टेटमेंट फॉर द सेकंड टॉपिक. लेट्स रीड इट. देयर इज नो क्वेश्चन दैट सेल फोन्स हैव चेंज्ड आवर लाइव्स इन अ वेरी बिग वे. तो ये थीसिस स्टेटमेंट पढ़ के अंदाजा हो रहा है कि probably the topic is about how cell phones have affected our life या impact of cell phone on our life, इस तरह का कोई टॉपिक है. लेकिन थीसिस स्टेटमेंट क्या है? There is no question that cell phone have changed our life. तो no one can question कि cell phones have changed our life. लेकिन again it's incomplete. राइटर का स्टैंस नहीं पता लग रहा. किस बेसिस पे राइटर इज सेइंग कि cell phones have changed our life? We don't know. Let's read the second another thesis statement. While cell phones provide freedom and mobility, they can also become a leash, compelling users to answer them anywhere and anytime. So now, as compared to the first example of the thesis statement, which only tells us that cell phones have changed our life, it doesn't tell us how. As opposed to this, the second thesis statement tells us while cell phone provide freedom and mobility, दो कुछ फायदे हैं सेल फोन के कि वो फ्रीडम प्रोवाइड करता है, मोबिलिटी प्रोवाइड करता है, they can become a leash. फायदे होने के बावजूद उनके नुकसानात उसके नुकसानात हैं, क्योंकि मेरे लिए द राइटर फॉर द राइटर व्हाट्स द बिगेस्ट काइंड ऑफ the biggest the way in which cell phones have transformed life is that the users have to answer them at anywhere anytime, so there is no privacy or no time for yourself. ठीक है, तो now as opposed to the first thesis statement जिसमें सिर्फ राइटर ये कह रहा है कि yes cell phone have changed our life, तो इस तरह की thesis statement नहीं होगी. ठीक है, अगर मेरा जो आइल्स का एग्जाम होता है उसमें इस तरीके के ऐसे आते हैं that to what extent do you believe, इस तरह के ऐसे होते हैं, क्वेश्चन एंड में होता है. तो if the essay is there it's a statement co-education is far better than single sex school, to what extent do you agree. ठीक है, तो आप एक बैकग्राउंड से स्टार्ट करेंगे, आप एक इंट्रोडक्शन से स्टार्ट करेंगे, इंट्रोडक्शन अपना स्टार्ट करेंगे, लेकिन आप अगर सिंपली ये कह दें कि आई डू अग्री दैट को एजुकेशन इज बेटर, ऑब्वियसली आप इसको क्लैरिफाई करें अपने स्टैंस को बाय सेइंग दैट, बट देन यू हैव टू मेंशन व्हाई. So you can begin with, there is a long going debate whether co-education should be preferred over single sex schools or not. While there are advantages to both, advantages and disadvantages to both of them, I believe co-education is far better than single sex education educational institute, because then I'll refer that because they help develop real life skills in individual as they coexist with people belonging to different gender. So this is my stance, that according to me, because they provide individuals with real life skills, I would prefer co-education more than single sex school or single sex educational institute. Okay, so now my stance is clear. So simply saying that yes, cell phones have impacted life or cell phones have changed our life is not enough. Your stance is not clear. On what grounds are you making this claim that cell phones have changed our life? You have to be very specific and focused. Okay, let's look at the third topic, the thesis statement for the third topic. Finding a job is never easy, but it can be especially hard when the economy is still feeling the effects of a recession and employers are reluctant to hire new workers. So probably the topic is about finding jobs. So finding a job is never easy. This is the topic, right? Now let's look at the second example. Okay. Right. College students looking for part-time work should begin their search by taking advantage of job finding resources on campus. Now, there are two. It's about job finding job. Finding job is never easy. पहला जो example है उससे भी ये पता लग रहा है कि finding job is never easy. And it can be especially hard when the economy is still feeling the effects of a recession and employers are reluctant to hire new workers. Now, the topic is probably about finding job. ठीक है? Now read the second one. College students looking for part-time work should begin their search by taking advantage of job finding resources on campus. Now, from reading both the thesis statement, we probably know that the topic is more about finding job, because both the thesis statement are referring to the struggle of finding job for college students. But if you look at the first thesis statement, it's kind of deviating from the main topic. It says finding a job is never easy, but it can be especially hard when the economy is still feeling the effects of a recession and employers are reluctant to hire new employees. So now it's actually expanding ke, finding job is never easy, but it's more difficult अगर recession आ जाए या और उसके बाद hiring का process में और ज़्यादा जो है वो delays हो और ज़्यादा new workers को hire ना किया जा रहा हो, तो उस वक्त और मुश्किल हो जाता है. But it's actually expanding on the same idea. इसमें again आपका कोई stance पता नहीं लग रहा. On the other hand, college students looking for part-time work should begin their search by taking advantage of job finding resources on campus. Isme, your stance is clear. You're kind of going to, it's clear that you are going to follow this approach. So, probably this is a better thesis statement. Okay. Now, why? Because it's about finding job. So you have a clear stance that college students who are looking for job should begin their search by finding job resources on campus. Let's look at the topic number 4. For the past 3 decades, coconut oil has been unjustly criticized as an artery clogging saturated fat. ठीक है? So for the past 3 decades, coconut oil has been criticized. Right? Now let's look at the second one. Cooking oil is plant, animal, or synthetic fat that is used in frying, baking, and other types of cooking. Now this is very easy. In the first thesis statement, we are discussing that for the past 3 decades, coconut oil has been criticized. Why? Because it kind of, it's considered as an artery clogging saturated fat. Clogging saturated fat. Okay, so why it has been criticized? The writers believe this is the main reason. ठीक है? और दूसरे अगर आप example देखें, it's only written that what is cooking oil. Cooking oil is plant, animal, or synthetic fat that is used for frying, baking, and other types of cooking. It's a definition. तो एक और चीज जो आपको thesis statement के बारे में याद रखनी है, that though your introduction can begin with a little background और end में thesis statement आ सकती है. लेकिन thesis statement is not a definition in itself. You might begin with a definition. आप अपने essay को definition से शुरू कर सकते हैं, लेकिन वो thesis statement नहीं है. ठीक है? तो अगर आप ग्लोबल वार्मिंग पे एसे लिख रहे हैं, तो यू माइट बिगिन विद डिफाइनिंग व्हाट इज ग्लोबल वार्मिंग, बट दैट इज नॉट गोइंग टू बी योर थीसिस स्टेटमेंट. थीसिस स्टेटमेंट इज गोइंग टू बी योर स्टैंस ऑन द टॉपिक, द एस्पेक्ट दैट यू आर गोइंग टू फोकस ऑन. ठीक है? तो कुकिंग ऑयल को डिफाइन करना थीसिस स्टेटमेंट नहीं हो सकता, बिकॉज थीसिस स्टेटमेंट इज नेवर अ डेफिनेशन. राइट? आई होप यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट. ओके, नाउ लेट्स लुक एट द fifth topic. Okay, there have been over 200 movies about Count Dracula, most of them only very loosely based on the novel published by Bram Stoker in 1987. Okay, so start thinking before I tell the answer. Think. Okay, I am just reading right now. Another thesis statement on the same topic. Despite its title, Bram Stoker's Dracula, a film directed by Francis Ford Coppola, takes considerable liberties with Stoker's novel. दोनों है thesis statement similar movie पे, that is Count Dracula by Bram Stoker. Thesis statement कौन सी better है? Think. You might pause the video here, because now I'm going to explain. See, if you read the first one, it says there have been over 200 movies about Count Dracula, most of them only loosely based on the novel. अब आपको अगर Hunger Games वाली एग्जाम्पल याद है अब तक, तो इसमें भी probably एक बैकग्राउंड बता रहा है राइटर. तो ये बैकग्राउंड के तौर पे तो सही है, लेकिन we cannot term it as a thesis statement. ठीक है? क्योंकि इसमें we only know that it has 200 movies about Count Dracula, and most of them are based on the novel published by the writer Bram Stoker in 1897. That's it. किस एस्पेक्ट को राइटर फोकस करेगा, किस क्या ओपिनियन है राइटर का इस मूवी के बारे में, we don't know anything about it. Let's look at the second example on the same topic. Despite its title, Bram Stoker's Dracula, a film directed by Francis Ford Coppola, takes considerable liberties with Stoker's novel. ठीक है, तो it tells the stance of the writer, right? कि it takes liberties with Stoker's novel. So that is the stance. इसमें पता लग रहा है कि आप इस एस्पेक्ट पे फोकस कर रहे हैं कि इस डायरेक्टर ने ये दिस पर्सन हैज डायरेक्टेड इट एंड इट हैज टेकन लिबर्टीज यू नो विद द नॉवल. तो ये इससे पता लग रहा है. अच्छा जी, ठीक है. नाउ अगेन लेट्स लुक एट येट अनदर एग्जांपल ऑफ अ effective thesis statement. Okay. Excuse me. There are several steps that teachers can take to encourage academic integrity and curtail cheating in their classes. This is the first thesis statement. Probably the topic is related to cheating. The second is, there is an epidemic of cheating in America's school and colleges, and there are no easy solution to this problem. Now, again, think, stop here and think कि stance और overall एक sum up आपकी writing को कौन सी thesis statement better way में कर सकती है. Think. I'll first discuss the second one. If you look at the second thesis statement, which says there is an epidemic of cheating in America's schools and colleges, there are no easy solution to this problem. Now here, again, this statement can be considered as an introduction. ठीक है, कि you are beginning an essay on cheating. So you are kind of giving the background that it has become an epidemic, right, in America's school and colleges, and there are no easy solutions for this for this problem. But again, there is no stance. We don't know what the writer is going to talk about. It doesn't summarize or presents the gist of the writing at all. It's just the background information. Now we look at the first one. There are several steps that teachers can take to encourage academic integrity and curtail cheating in their classes. Now, throughout our essay, throughout my essay, I am going to talk about the steps that teachers can take to encourage academic integrity, how they can motivate their students to follow academic integrity and avoid cheating. What role can they play in this regard? So simply by reading this thesis statement, I know the stance of the writer. The writer is going to focus on the role of teachers in curtailing cheating. So probably the writing, the topic is issues related to cheating or solutions to cheating. The second statement only states that it's a problem and it has no easy solution, but it doesn't present the stance of the writer, right? Whereas the first thesis statement, A, tells that the writer is going to focus on the steps that teachers can take. So the writer has narrowed down. Imagine that the topic is cheating. It's a one-word topic, cheating. Now there are so many types of cheating, or there's so many aspects of cheating that you can talk about. But by simply reading this thesis statement, we know that the writer throughout the essay is going to focus on cheating and the role of teacher in ensuring academic integrity among their students. ठीक है? Okay. Now let's look at the seventh topic. So you see, we have been discussing diverse topics. ठीक है? और different types of thesis statement को हम discuss कर रहे हैं अभी तक. तो for that, इसलिए ताकि आपको अंदाजा हो जाए कि different topics पे किस तरह से आप argument को formulate कर सकते हैं, develop कर सकते हैं. ठीक है? So let's look at sentence number 8. The iPad has revolutionized. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. It's 7. J. Robert Oppenheimer, the American physicist who directed the building of the first atomic bombs during World War II, had technical, moral, and political reasons for opposing the development of the hydrogen bomb. Okay. Now let's look at the second example. Robert Oppenheimer, often referred to as the father of the atomic bomb, was born in New York City in 1904. I hope that by now it's just self-explanatory for you to guess that which thesis statement is not effective at all. I have been consistently mentioning that thesis statement is not merely a background information about the topic. It just does not define something, or it just does not only present information, right? So by that we know that B cannot be an effective thesis statement. Why? Because it's just telling us that Robert was known as the father of the atomic bomb and he was born in New York in 1904. We don't know what the writer is going to talk about. On the other hand, the first statement tells us that he was the American physicist who directed the building of the first atomic bombs during the World War II, and he had technical, moral, and political reasons for opposing the development of the hydrogen bomb. So simply by reading the thesis statement, we know that the writer is going to tell us more about the physicist technical and moral and political reason for opposing the development of hydrogen bomb. तो सिंपली जब हम सेंटेंस टॉपिक नंबर 7 का फर्स्ट थीसिस स्टेटमेंट पढ़ते हैं तो हमें ये पता लगता है कि राइटर जो है वो इस बात पे फोकस करेगा कि टेक्निकल, मॉरल और पॉलिटिकल रीजंस की वजह से रॉबर्ट ओपेनहाइमर who was the American physicist, वो उन्होंने डेवलपमेंट ऑफ हाइड्रोजन को अपोज किया था. He was not in favor of developing hydrogen bomb. So throughout the essay, the writer will talk about the technical grounds for opposing hydrogen bombs development, the moral ground on which the American physicists opposed the development of hydrogen bomb, and the political reasons. जबकि सेकंड स्टेटमेंट में हमें कुछ भी नहीं पता लग रहा, सिर्फ ये पता लग रहा है कि he was a father of atomic bomb. So you can sort of begin like that, but it is not your thesis statement. And also it's better that you don't begin like that, because now your writing has to be more mature. ठीक है? Okay. Now let's look at sentence number 8. Topic number 8. Okay. The iPad has revolutionized the mobile computing landscape and created a huge profit stream for Apple. ठीक है? तो we are probably, the topic is about iPad, Apple's iPad. ठीक है? तो topic ये है. The second, let's read the second thesis statement. The iPad, with its relatively large, high definition screen, has helped to revitalize the comic book industry. Now, stop and think which could be the better thesis statement. See, the first statement tells us that the iPad has revolutionized the mobile computing landscape and that it has created a huge profit stream for Apple. We only know that it has created a profit stream for Apple, and though the writer has mentioned that it has revolutionized the mobile computing landscape, how? The writer hasn't mentioned how. On the other hand, if you look at the second statement, the iPad, comma, telling us more about the iPad. With its relatively large, high definition screen, has helped revitalize the comic book industry. So basically, the iPad has completely transformed the comic book industry or revitalized it. Why? Because of its large, high definition screen. So this is kind of more specific and more focused. ठीक है? अच्छा जी. So you have to look for the statement. You have to develop statement in a way which is more clear, specific, and focused. and it tells the reader of your stance, the stance that you are going to follow. Right? Okay. Now, let's look at topic number 9. Like other addictive behaviors, internet addiction may have serious, serious negative consequences, including academic failure, job loss, and a breakdown in personal relationship. So basically, the topic is internet addiction. Let's look at the second thesis statement. Drug and alcohol addiction is basically the topic is addiction. Drug and alcohol addiction is a major problem in the world today, and many people suffer from it. So pause and think about the effective thesis statement from among these two. See, the second thesis statement again is incomplete. It does not tell us more about the writing at all. It just says that drug and alcohol addiction has become very common. It's a major problem these days. And why? Because many people suffer from it. That's it. On the other hand, the first thesis statement tells us that like other addictive behavior, internet addiction may have very serious consequences for the users, including academic failure, job loss, and a breakdown in personal relationships. So we know that throughout the essay, the writer will focus on these negative consequences. He or she will tell us more about how internet addiction can lead to academic failure. Besides, they'll talk about the negative consequences in the form of job loss and how internet addiction can lead to relationship breakdown. And they might also refer to quite a few other negative consequences. So simply by reading the thesis statement, हमें ये अंदाजा हो जाता है कि writer negative consequences में इन aspects को cover करेगा. ठीक है? So it's more focused and it's more specific. Okay. Let's look at topic 10th topic. When I was a child, I used to visit my grandmother in Moline every Sunday. So it's about visiting grandmother. Okay. Every Sunday, we visited my grandmother, who lived in a tiny house that was undeniably haunted. So probably the writing is more about describing the haunted house of my grandmother. So it's a sort of descriptive essay writing. Or maybe I'm telling a story, so it could be a narrative essay. If you read the first thesis statement, when I was a child, I used to visit my grandmother in Moline every Sunday. It only refers to an activity that I did over a prolonged period of time. It only tells the reader that I used to visit my grandmother every Sunday. That's it. What do I want to talk about is not clear yet. It's incomplete. The readers don't know that. Whereas, by reading the second thesis statement, every Sunday we visited my grandmother, who lived in a tiny house that was undeniably haunted. So undeniably haunted are the keywords. So simply by reading this thesis statement, the readers are in a better position to know what my aim of writing is. They have an idea that I am probably going to talk about the haunted house of my grandmother, how haunted it was, what was my experience of being there. So my readers will look forward to this. ठीक है? Okay. So let's look at the 11th topic that we have. Okay. The bicycle was introduced in the 19th century and rapidly grew into a worldwide phenomenon. So probably the topic is bicycle. The writer wants to talk about bicycle. The second thesis statement on the similar topic says, in several ways, bicycles today are better than they were 100 or even 50 years ago. Now, the first thesis statement only tells us the time when bicycles were introduced. They were introduced in the 19th century, and then with the passage of time, And with the passage of time, they sort of become a global phenomena, right? So now they became a global phenomena. But the second thesis statement is telling us that bicycle today are better. Now, why they are better? This is something that the writer is going to discuss. Let's quickly look at the last sentence. Although many varieties of beans belong in a healthy diet, among the most nutritious are black beans, kidney beans, chickpeas, and pinto beans. Second one, although beans are generally good for you, some kind of raw beans can be dangerous if they are not well cooked. The second statement only tells us some kind of raw beans, whereas the first is more specific because they specifically mention the most nutritious black beans, right? So now this is how you write or develop thesis statement. So go through, play this video again if you have time, and go through all the thesis statement and for yourself decide which one are the more effective thesis statement. And this is the format of essay writing that I wanted to discuss in detail, that I have referred to in the first session. But when after your midterm we meet next and we move on with the topic of essay writing, I will discuss the format in detail. So for today, this week, the focus was on introduction of essay writing with a specific focus on developing thesis statement. So I hope you understand how to formulate thesis statement, what does an essay consist of, and I hope that you will practice. All the best for your midterm. See you in the next session. Thank you.